We're making udon. Now so far in this noodle soup series, I know our focus has mostly been on the broth, but for this dish, it's all about the noodles. Outside Japan, most people's experience with udon is likely with those pre-made packages found in the freezer section. Now I don't have a problem with those. They're tasty and convenient, but they lack the chewiness and bite of homemade udon noodles. Now making udon noodles from scratch is not easy. It requires a fair bit of elbow or foot grease, you'll see what I mean later, and definitely is a labor of love. But they are so worth the effort. The texture just can't be replicated with the store-bought versions, and you'll see what I mean if you ever try to attempt these. Let's make them. Start by making a salt brine. I'm using 11% salt. Now this amount will vary depending on your climate. You can go as low as 8% for cold climates or as high as 12% for warm climates. Salt will tighten gluten strands in the dough, so in warmer climates your dough will be slightly softer, meaning you should add more salt to tighten it up and vice versa. In a bowl with all-purpose flour, gradually pour in the water mixture while mixing with your hands. Then knead it on your work surface until it just comes together into a rough, craggly ball. Don't worry if there's still dry spots in the flour, as the next stage will help hydrate the dough. Place the dough ball in a bag to rest for 30 minutes at room temperature or in the fridge overnight. This step is crucial to help the flour hydrate fully, leading to a more even dough. Now for the next step, we'll be using the two most versatile kitchen tools known to man. That's right, your good old grippers. Okay, of course you don't need to use your feet, but it's traditionally done this way because the added weight will help form that much needed gluten that gives udon its signature chew. Next, we'll take the dough out of the bag, fold the edges toward the center, and give it another foot knead. We'll repeat this process another 3 times for a total of 5 kneads. Every time we fold the dough into itself and knead, we're forming an overlapping network of gluten strands, which will give the noodles a bouncy, chewy texture. After all the kneading, the dough should have the texture of an earlobe. Soft, supple, with just a bit of elasticity. Now roll the dough up into a ball and let it rest for at least 2 and up to 3 hours to fully relax all that toit gluten you just made. Meanwhile, we can prep our broth and other ingredients. This broth is super simple and meant to be a delicately balanced mixture of clean flavors that allows the other ingredients in this dish to shine. We'll start by making a katsuo dashi. If you've watched my previous noodle videos, this dashi is very similar to Korean dashima, but instead of anchovies, we'll be using katsuobushi or shaved bonito flakes. These flakes are made from skipjack tuna that is smoked and dried numerous times until it becomes harder than a rock. Seriously, this is the hardest food known to man. They impart an amazingly deep umami and a hint of smokiness to the broth and are a foundational ingredient of Japanese cuisine. To complete our udon broth, we'll just need to add 1 tablespoon of mirin, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and 1 teaspoon of sugar for every 2 cups of dashi stock. Season to taste with salt and MSG. Next, we'll prep our tempura. Udon is usually served with some form of tempura. I'll be using black tiger prawns and zucchini. For the prawns, devein and peel them. Use something pointy to poke through the back of the prawn and pull out the digestive tract. Now the secret to getting your shrimp straight, is to make a series of cuts along the inner muscle and then unrolling the shrimp. Next up is our batter. You want to make this right before you fry to ensure your tempura gets the proper crisp. There are a ton of variations of tempura batter out there, and I don't claim this one to be the best, but it'll do the job. The keys to a good tempura batter is to keep everything cold and to minimize gluten formation. Start by mixing all-purpose flour, cornstarch, baking powder, and dashi powder. In a separate bowl, combine an egg, chilled club soda, and some ice. Then add the flour to the wet ingredients and gently mix until the batter is just coming together. It's okay if there's still lumps. Now it's time to fry. Heat neutral oil to 340 degrees Fahrenheit. Start by dusting your ingredients with a mixture of equal parts all-purpose flour and cornstarch. This will allow the batter to cling better. Take some batter with your hands or spoon and drop it into the hot oil to form many flakes. Collect the flakes, then dip your ingredient in the batter and gently lay it over the flakes while trying to fold the excess flakes over the ingredient. Fry until your ingredient is cooked and crisp, about 2 minutes for the prawns and 3 to 4 minutes for the zucchini. Drain on a paper towel lined tray and hit them with some salt to finish. Now back to our noodles. Using a rolling pin, flatten the dough to a 30 centimeter or 12 inch rectangle that's about 3 millimeters or 1/8 inches thick.
3 millimeters.
Give it a dusting of cornstarch and fold it over itself. Using a sharp knife, cut the noodles to about ½ centimeter or 1/4 inch thick strands. You can freeze the noodles at this stage for up to a month, just make sure to give them a liberal dusting of cornstarch first. Next, bring a pot of unsalted water to a boil and toss in your nudes. They'll take about 20 minutes to fully cook, and then it's time to assemble.